Good morning. And here is this week's food for thought. We are blessed. We are blessed people. And God has blessed us by placing us in families. Whether those families be our biological families, or whether those families be even our church families. And those families be a greater part of a community that we belong to. And I came across this list as I was scrolling the one day on social media. And I found this really impactful and something very valuable and something that I've applied in my own life and in my own family. You see, rules sometimes are great as guidelines, and especially when the rules are defined by that of Scripture, when the home is that of a Christian home. And so when we look at the church itself as a family of God, it can even be defined in the church family. And the church isn't just a specific building or one specific church, but the universal church as well. So I put together these lists, and I saw this list of, shall we say, family rules. And I think if we apply these in our lives, we can begin to see a structure in our own individual families, in the life of a family, of a community, the church, and in the wider church, using the guideline and the rules of that of Scripture. So what are these rules? The first rule is always be honest. It's based off of that of Proverbs chapter 12, verse 22. The value in being honest to one another, always telling the truth. Being truthful, why? Because Jesus Christ himself is the truth. The second one, to count your blessings. It's easy to focus in on the things that we don't have, but it's important for us to recognize that we truly are blessed by God. Psalm chapter 34, verses 1 through 3, let us realize how blessed we are by God. And we should count our blessings not just on Thanksgiving, but throughout the entire calendar year. Don't just wait once a year, but let him know how blessed we are in counting our blessing the other 364 days as well. Forgive and forget. Now, we can't always forget while we forget as such, but don't hold on to. Shall I say it should be more forgive and be willing to move forward? I think that's so important with it. So often we forgive and we're not willing to move forward in the midst of it. God is the only one that can forget, but we need to be willing to move forward. We need to be willing to move in the forward direction that we need to in that relationship. Yes, there's going to be hurt, but we're willing to move forward in that direction as we continue to move forward in God in that relationship so that our relationship can continue to grow. Micah chapter 7, verse 18 makes that so clear. The next one is be supportive of one another. The world is so filled with discouragement. The world is so filled with critique. But we as a family must be supportive of one another. How can we encourage one another? How can we support one another? How can we be there to encourage and to lead one another in a direction that points people to Jesus Christ? Not supporting in our sin, but supporting in a way that shows people the importance that they have value and worth, but in the same way, showing them and leading them to the cross. That we see through that of Acts chapter 20, verse number 35. Be kind and tender-hearted. Paul speaks to that as we look in the life of Christian living. Christians are called to be kind and tender-hearted. Make sure that the words that we speak are kind, and the way that we speak them to one another, even in disagreements, we can still come across very kind to each other. And we must do it in a way that is throwing forth compassion, doing it in the same way that Christ has done for us. as seeing an example of that of Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32. The next thing that I think is so important is being a person of our word, keeping your promises. Are we ready to keep our promises? Being true to our word. If we say we're going to do something, then we do it. We keep our promise, keep our word with what we're about to say. Romans chapter 4, verse 21 says that. Comfort one another. You see, we can live this world and we can even live the Christian life by ourselves. But we're called to comfort one another, comforting each other in such a way to show forth love. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 18. Now, the greatest one and above all else. When Jesus was questioned by the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and he was determined to tell what is the greatest of all these commandments, he defined it in one word, and that word was love. And I tell you today, the family role is to love God and to love one another. 1 Peter 1:22. You need to look at that this day and say, I need to love others. I need to love my family. I need to show that love. And love is more than just saying the words, I love you. Love needs to be an action word, allowing it to be seen through the other things that we do in these rules. I encourage us today to show forth love to your family, your biological family, the other people, your friends in your life, your church family, and the wider church as well. Go forth, showing forth love this day as you show them Jesus. Until next time, God bless.